All right, guys, we're back. It's another episode of the Fearless Pursuit of Freedom podcast. And today's guest is again another high-level entrepreneur that I'm pretty sure everybody looks up to. He's killing it. He's young, and he's in real estate. So I'd like to welcome you guys, Donny Ruffin here.
What's up?
How's it going, man?
Can they see my face?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Sometimes I hop on podcasts and it's just voice, but that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So what's up, Brandon?
Not much. Been watching you a long time. I don't know everything about your business, but you started out wholesaling, went in the rehabs and back into wholesaling primarily, or what's it looking like for you?
Yeah. So I guess when I started off in real estate, I started off wholesaling. I did about 6 wholesales before I did my first fix and flip. And then when I did my first fix and flip, I was just like, you know what? Like everybody said this was difficult and all those things. And I just kind of like, this wasn't as hard as I thought it would have been.
Right.
Just a lot of internal fear just based off of risk and what could happen. It didn't happen. So I just duplicated that process a whole bunch of times. And oh man, I probably did over 100 fix and flips since then. That was like 3 years ago. So
nice.
But yeah, now I still do just the same amount of rehabs. I just kind of infiltrated a lot more wholesaling. My business model kind of shifted a little bit from just buying from wholesalers primarily last year to this year, just kind of investing into my own marketing. And obviously, since you're investing into marketing, you're going to come across a bunch of deals that don't really fit your criteria. So that's kind of why I've kind of chosen that route. I was like, I have that wholesale side of the business and I got the rehab side of the business.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've been in this 3 years. Before you got into the real estate, what were you doing then? And why'd you get into real estate?
Yeah. So I've been in sales ever since I was like 15, just kind of buying and selling stuff. But when I was 18, I took on like a door-to-door cable job. So I was selling cable door-to-door. So I've been doing that. Up until like 2 weeks ago, I kind of progressed so that it grew to a point where it just made sense to just start my own company. Before I knew it, I had sales reps all around the country, just running my own company with that. And then got into real estate about 3 years ago. One of my buddies I went to high school with had success with like one wholesale deal. And that kind of like gave me the belief level, like if that guy can do it, I can do it too.
Right.
And that's kind of found my path into real estate. And I've always been intrigued by real estate, just like everybody else. You know, you hear amazing success stories and people that really came up in real estate, right? So it was always things I was inspired by, and I was always like, eventually I want to get into this. And then when my buddy got into it, it's like, okay, now's the time. Now's the perfect opportunity to actually jump into it. So, but yeah, that was about 3 years ago. And, started off really small, putting out bandit signs here and there, and eventually climbing my way up to, just doing every angle of marketing that you can think of to generate leads.
Yeah, that's been one of my things is determining which avenues work, and ultimately it just came down to like, well, I just got to do them all. Actually, that reminds me, I didn't put out bandit signs last night. I was supposed to go Friday night. I didn't do it.
You on that, man. You got to do it without thinking about it and kind of replace yourself from that standpoint. So.
Yeah. I tried to hire my little brother, but to get him to work has been like pulling teeth. So
yeah,
I'm trying to get him in the business, but it's not working out so great. He's a youngster, 19 now, and I think he's finally seeing the ways. I got him to read the book, If You Can't Wholesale After This, I've Got Nothing For You by Todd Fleming. I finally, after about 3 months, I got him to finish that book. So.
Oh, really? Yeah. I haven't read that one, to be honest with you. The only wholesaling book I actually read was Lit by Nick Ruse. I always recommend everybody read that.
Yeah.
Especially if you have questions about anything, it kind of like streamlines the whole entry-level process and understanding the entire wholesale process. So it's good.
Yeah. Same for this one, but he goes into detail about how wholesalers can make a passive income. So what he'll do, and hopefully I explained this right, but I think what he'll do is instead of doing an assignment fee, maybe he'll do a small assignment fee and then put on a second lien position on the back end of the loan to the end buyer. And so he'll grab a percentage of that monthly payment every month for 8, 10, 15, 20 years.
Wow. I never even heard.
Yeah. So like, you know, how like FHA does the 2 loans for first time home buyers sometimes, or they'll give them assisted.
Yeah.
So, and I see that a lot with these, with these FHA foreclosures, they'll have 2 loans and they'll have the second position, like $15,000. That's what he'll do is he'll throw that on the back side. And so he'll grab that payment. So it's a pretty cool strategy actually.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I just pulled that off with Yale. I mean, Yale just bought one of your houses, right? So instead of getting a wholesale fee off of them, I was like, hey man, you're going to turn this into a rental. So for the next 15 years, I want $200 a month. And he was like, done.
He bought one of your houses?
Yeah.
Yeah. He buys a couple of my houses. I'd say like a house a month or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty good post. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea. But I was trying to get more creative on passive opportunities.
Right.
So you've been at 3 years. Obviously, you're killing it. What were kind of some of the struggles you had in the beginning, and how did you teach yourself? Because myself, I did self-taught. It was YouTube, Bigger Pockets, networking, all that stuff. How did you learn the ways?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, when you start anything, you're going to suck. So going into anything, understanding that it's a lot less stress and a lot less pressure. And I think that helped a lot just because, I mean, like if you're trying to get back to the gym, it's like, I'm going to suck. I'm going to suck for a little bit, but I'm going to get better. And that's kind of the approach I took on when I started in real estate or in business. But a lot of the struggles that I kind of ran into when I first got started was just kind of trial and error. And, just trying certain things, just like trying something that doesn't work. So try something else. And then eventually get into a point where you gain traction on what actually works. And you just kind of stick to that model. If something's working, then don't change it. Right. But I'm always a fan of if something's working, how can you make it better? So I guess like some of the things that I kind of struggled with when I got started is obviously just finding leads. That was probably one of the most difficult things for years is just kind of getting the traction of a constant supply of leads to like build a system around. So I was just kind of like shit against the wall for a long time and trying to make something of that. And I feel like it took a long time for me to actually gain traction because I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to handle that type of responsibility when it comes to other people, when it comes to leads, when it comes to spending a large amount of money into marketing. So I'm kind of happy I ran into that struggle of gaining traction with leads because it made me respect the leads that I had coming in for a long time. Because I mean, there was a time in my business where I would only get like 2-3 leads a month. Just like off bandit signs. And I had to make something of that to make money and make my business profitable. I did, it's like I have to be a salesman. I have to be able to close these leads. I have to be able to add value to these individuals that are reaching out to me that need help. And I was able to deliver on that. And fast forward today, I mean, we get like over 600 leads a month. And I remember, like getting 5 leads a month, and now we get like 600 leads a month. And now I know how to handle that type of volume. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
You've got quite the sales team over there now. I see. Well, I'm Instagram friends, and I think I'm Snapchat friends with you too. So I see everybody ringing the bell over there. How many of those guys you got over there?
I have 6 acquisition guys. I have I have 2 lead managers. I have like 17 or actually 18 cold callers now. And a transaction coordinator. So I got a pretty good team. Just in my Dallas office, I have about 10 people that work full time alongside me, and we play a pretty good team. So it's exciting. We got a cool culture. We're all like buddies. I've known most of these guys for years. So it's been fun. But yeah, we have a gong in our office where every time somebody gets a contract, they're allowed to ring the sacred gong. So it's pretty cool. It's fun.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So are these W-2 or contracted employees?
No, everybody's W-9 contracted.
Oh, good. Yeah. 1099. That's cool. Yeah. Cause I got this internal battle of do I want to grow to a huge team or keep as much as I can to myself, task wise, and then just outsource the little things. Like I've got 6 VAs in the Philippines that do all of my marketing, pretty much on my back end. And then now I've got Ashley doing my QuickBooks and all the finances. And so essentially my only job now is to maintain the brand and then go look at houses.
Yeah.
And do you have somebody that specifically goes out and looks at all these houses by themselves, or each team member does their own leads?
Well, to be honest with you, my model has changed a lot, and it goes back to me saying it's like, man, I used to walk through every deal,
Yeah.
just to look at it, make sure I get the numbers right, and make sure I get it in our contract.
Yeah.
But now we're getting so many leads and so many leads to work. It's just a waste of time, or not necessarily, but in most situations, it's a lot more effective to just do it virtually, even though we're in the same market, because we can save time. So we can get the property under contract secured, and we have like a rough standpoint of what we needed at, and that just comes from years of rehabbing too. It's just kind of I'm pretty good at teaching guys on what everything costs when we ask certain questions with the sellers, and we're able to get it under contract without it actually looking at it. And then obviously with our inspection period, we have either the seller go take pictures of the property, or we have I have like one of my field guys that kind of work in the construction side of the business, to take pictures, pay them like $50 to get pictures and videos. And our acquisition guys, I would say 90% of the time never even physically see the house. It goes, we use the same pictures that we get from the field guys or the sellers. And then we use that in the marketing. And then we have our buyers put offers in and go with the best offer. And then we'll have him walk the property and then give us the deposit after he walks through. So, with that strategy, it's helped a lot just because we're able to accomplish more because we have more time to talk to more people. It's changed a lot for our business.
Oh, well. So I definitely don't do mine that way.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking about it. So, with that model, essentially you can grow nationwide. Do you have any plans of doing so?
Yeah. We're in 3 different markets now. I actually have 2 offices. I have an office in Florida. My actual business partner from my marketing company before we actually let that campaign go, he's actually running the shop over there. And then we opened San Antonio and then Dallas, obviously. So we're operating in 3 markets right now, full time. Getting pretty good traction.
And so why do you feel an office is necessary rather than having these guys work from home? Do you want to is it accountability or what is it?
Yeah. So I'm glad you asked that question. So back to one of the things I've learned, I view real estate as just like a business. Real estate's great, but at the end of the day, I operate it like an actual business. So I had with my marketing company, it got to a point where we had 8 different markets around the country. And there's a lot of ways to obviously be profitable in your business. And I realized it's like, man, it's really profitable to have different markets around the country and have like a manager or a leader run those markets because you have feet on the ground and traction in that specific market. But for me personally, it took a lot of time. I was traveling all the time. I was gone a majority of the month, and I was just kind of like, I literally got to a point where I burnt out. It's like, I hate airplanes. I hate traveling. It got super annoying. But not only that, it was difficult to make adjustments quickly. Like, it's different being able to walk into an office or walk out of your office into the office right next to you and make adjustments just like that, and make sure you have that in-person connection with people to be able to grow your company and to make adjustments really quickly. So I believe that having an office and your team in the office working full time is a lot more effective, just based off of the operation and the system to be able to make adjustments really quickly.
Yeah.
That's my standpoint on it. I've tried, having people work from home and stuff like that, but it's hard to keep people obviously accountable, manage people, and then obviously it's difficult to make adjustments when you need them done, like right now.
Yeah. You can't just show up at their house, but you can show up to the office and make sure they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah, it's like, everybody's got their space, and if I need something or if we need to adjust something, it's like, hey, it's a quick conversation. Hey, let's do it like this, and then let's get it done and move on to the next step.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah, my VAs, I guess they have a virtual office. They're all in the same office over there. and I'm able to send an email, but I feel like things could be done better if I was right there, not necessarily hounding them, but on top of them. They see me daily or every other day or whatever, because you don't go in the office every day, right? So
Yeah.
how do you feel that impacts?
I guess with VAs, like I have 18 VAs, and they're all in like Mexico and the Philippines as well. So
Yeah.
those guys aren't in house. I believe that's like an entry level task. So everybody that's in the office or like all commission,
Yeah.
heavy level type of positions. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you think it's an advantage or a disadvantage having mostly friends in the office?
Friends, it has its pros and cons. And when it comes to the actual aspect of having somebody that work with you, I believe it could be a huge advantage just because those people enjoy working with you just because you're friends.
Yeah.
And not only that is they don't want you to fail. They don't want to fail because they don't want to see you look at them as, hey, I'm failing.
Yeah.
But not only that, they want to help you more than somebody you didn't know. From a perspective, it's like, hey, I'm going to support you and you're going to support me and we're going to help each other more versus, hey, I just met you and I've never seen you or anything like that. On top of the fact, it helps with retention. So somebody you don't know, you hire them, especially you pay them all commission. It gets more difficult to actually retain that person just because if something's not going the way that they want at that second, they could be out and be gone, and you kind of went through all this training and trying to help that person, and then they just disappear. So
Yeah.
I prefer having obviously people I personally know for a number of reasons, more reasons than actually hiring people I don't know. But obviously, I think the most important thing to me is just that trust aspect. Because the guys that work in the office, they have access to hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of data that I trust them with just off the marketing expenses. You know what I mean? So I think that's the biggest why I hire people that are my friends.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Do you ever, like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to hire a bird dog because I'm teaching them the business. Do you ever get that feeling that these guys will head out one day and try to do their own thing, or?
So, what,
to be honest,
for a long time, I did think like that. And I think honestly, Brandon, for like 2 years of me being in real estate, it was just me. And because I did think like that, it's like, man, I don't want to put somebody else on and then they just take advantage of me or go do their own route. And I just kind of wasted my time. But now I started thinking about it from a different approach. And the approach is simple. It's like, if I don't bring these guys enough value, then they will leave and they will go start their own shop. And that's the deal that we have. And it's a deal anywhere. If you don't bring somebody enough value and they don't bring you enough value in return, it's obviously you guys are going to part ways. So it kind of keeps me accountable towards the standpoint of I need to wake up every single day and bring my team just as much value as they bring me, if not more. And that's why we stay loyal to each other. It doesn't come to a standpoint of, these guys are going to go leave and do their own thing just because it's just kind of like there's so much value that's given. It's kind of almost impossible for you to go out and do your own thing and have the same type of traction somewhere else.
Right. And it's in a timely fashion, of course.
Yeah. So it's just like my acquisition guys, even they know they make something, like most of them make more just as the acquisition guy working with my company versus them just being they make more than majority of the wholesalers in Dallas, off acquisitions. Obviously there's no risk. They don't have to spend any money or anything like that. They make commission. But it's a pretty fair trade-off.
Yeah. Do you mind sharing what the commission splits are?
Yeah. So I pay my guys tiers based off how much revenue they bring in. So if they bring in less than $50,000 a month, they make 8%. If they bring more than $50,000 in a month, they make 10%. And then when they bring more than $100,000 a month in revenue, they make 12%.
And that's based off of the net wholesale profit?
No, that's based off the gross. So the gross assignments or rehabs.
Oh, even the rehabs.
Yeah.
So you'll track who brought in that lead and what the HUD shows at the back end?
Yeah, but to be honest, I'm gonna adjust that just because I mean there's a lot that goes into rehabs.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like I have to either make it the net profit on the rehabs or just pay them what I would assign it for.
Right.
It'll just be easier.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's hard. I mean, yeah, there's everything. Once you finally get done with the paperwork on the back end of what each individual rehab makes, I mean, it could be 3 months down the line.
Yeah. So I think it just makes sense to just pay them like I was going to assign it.
Yeah.
If it's up as a rehab, because they get paid a lot quicker. It might be a little less, but it's a lot easier math.
Yeah.
A lot faster. So that's fair.
Yeah. And most people like to get paid right away for the work they did.
Yeah.
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 That's cool. And so, I mean, you got so much going on, and I got a million questions, and I don't want to be jumping around the board. So you're still doing a lot of rehabs. I think a lot of problems and questions that people have in the beginning is not only the lead side of it that we talked about in the beginning, but the financing side of it. And everybody says once you have a deal, the money's there. Were you able to find private money pretty quickly, or were you going into hard money brokers, or banks or anything like that?
Well, yeah, I actually got pretty blessed because I found private money very quickly. I would say with my second or third rehab, I actually partnered with one of my buddies that has private money and kind of built that relationship off that. Obviously, there's value in return for that. I have about $5 million in private money where I have like access to just buy whatever. And to be honest, it's not that much different than hard money. It's just less money out of pocket, and it's a lot more convenient. So private money is awesome, but obviously it's a relationship type of transaction, just because that person has to trust you in order to fund the deal.
Yeah, of course. So you said it's cheaper up front. So you're not paying any points up front. You're having everything proceeded out of the end, or?
Well, to be honest, it kind of depends on the lender and it kind of depends on the deal. There's some deals where it's like pretty small and it just makes more sense to just do it all at the end. So it's transactions. We're looking at it's like wire fees. It's like, we're all going to spend more money by having all these fees here through the transaction. Let's just do it all at the end. And then there's some lenders, it's like 1 or 2 points up front, depending on how big the deal is, and then 10 or 12 points, depending on how big the deal is.
Yeah.
So it's kind of how it's structured. But yeah, they fund the property, they fund the rehab, and the only thing I'm paying really is points.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I've been doing hard money since the beginning. Here, actually, just recently found private money, and then got a bank line of credit that I could utilize. They call it a line of credit, but it's actually a form of bank money. It's quick. It's 5 to 10 days they can close, but they still evaluate the property, and then it's only 90% of LTV. But they gave me $5 million of operating capital to go out and buy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What's your interest on that?
What's that?
Is your interest still pretty high?
No, it's actually really, really cheap. So I don't know the exact numbers because it's like 1.75 points up front and then 8.75% interest.
That's really good.
Yeah. And there's 6-month terms and it's like a 1 point renewal and stuff like that. And a lot of my buddies use them. So
that's awesome. That's
pretty cool. Yeah. So I don't know why I wrote down that question. Actually, like basic questions. Like, so you got a bunch of cold callers. Like for me, when I set up my VAs, in the beginning, I was having them use their own dialer, and they were using Skype, and they're having a bunch of issues. So then we got Mojo. Is Mojo the platform you're using?
I actually use YTEL.
Okay, never heard of it.
I think you have to have 10 seats before you can actually get it.
Yeah.
But I had some buddies in Phoenix that kind of like taught me the whole cold calling side of it. So that's the platform that they were using, and that's the only one that I know of. I know a whole bunch of people that use Mojo, so I think it's just as good.
Yeah.
I know YTEL is more designed towards the more seats, so it's easier to manage.
Yeah. Oh, seats, you mean dialers? Okay. Yeah. So. Yeah, I had never used Mojo before, but my VAs, they come from, they do some sort of real estate classes out there. They do for 6 months, and so these guys are always teaching me new things to do.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're like, "Why don't we just use Mojo?" I'm like, "I've never used it, but I guess I'll do it." And they just started going in there, and yeah, it's pretty cool. They give me an updated thing every day where it shows how many dials out, how many bad numbers, how many fax numbers, how many were on the do not call list and such. And
Yeah.
so
Are you able to monitor what they're doing though?
no, there's no real way to monitor their time and their task, but I do get a daily update of what they've done. And so they'll tell me the list they've mailed. They'll tell me the mailers they sent out, um, how far they are on certain tasks, because I have them do data scrubbing for me on different marketing strategies. And then they also do SEO for me. So they'll show me everything they did for the day. And then the amount of phone calls and what types of um, activity where it was in the calling. So, but I don't know if you saw my post yesterday. I might bring the cold calling back because I'm doing something wrong. Either it's my script, which I don't think is it. I don't think it's a language barrier because I've been on a Skype call with them a few times and the language is really good. They are able to communicate and they're fairly fluent in the English language actually. But I don't know. I'm just having problems with it. So I'm actually surprised that your guys don't do your cold calling for you.
No, everything's. I mean, it's like we view that as like an entry level task that we could pay
Yeah.
a couple bucks an hour to do.
Yeah.
A couple questions, and then they just transfer the leads over, and then acquisition takes it from there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's some of our leads aren't as like hot from cold calling, to be honest, because we get a lot of them. But it comes with being a salesman with acquisition guides to convert those to hot leads.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's with Widetel, we're able, like I have my transaction coordinator monitor those calls. So she's able to go in, listen to recordings. Somebody's not speaking good English, it's like cut this guy, put somebody else in.
Yeah.
Same things of that sort. So it helps. But I mean, I'm just more of like a trust person. It's like I'm like a data freak. I have to see everything. I'm like people like to say I'm like I don't even know the term, but if it's not working the way I want it to work, I need it fixed now. If I can't see everything, then I feel like something's going on that is a reason why I'm not seeing it. You know what I mean? So that's why I like Widetel, because I'm able to see everything, see all the phone calls, able to pull screen grabs, stuff like that. So it helps with quality management.
Yeah. That's cool. I'll have to look into that one. What were some of like the ups and downs? Because you've been at 3 years. Most would say that's. I mean, I've been here 18 months. You've been here 3 years. Most would say that we're still beginners.
Yeah.
And I'm still making mistakes all the time.
Yeah.
And what would you say were some of your biggest struggles in the beginning? And like for me, it was overcoming the what ifs and the unknowns and just freaking doing it. That was my biggest struggle. And now I don't like to say it's easy, but I think it comes down to your stress management skills. Really, is when things happen, there's no panic involved. It's like, all right, what happened? Let's either cut it or fix it.
Yep.
And so, what do you think were some of the things that were hard for you?
Well, I think what was hard for me, for one, is just like getting people to tell me how to do it. It was like one of the biggest things, because I feel like a lot of people in this business are just like holding all this information and don't tell other people. So I think that's one of the things that was difficult for me, is just finding the people with the actual value. It's kind of like if you look at your friend group now and what you know and what you guys all know, it's kind of like understanding magic. It's like I'm the type of person, I never needed motivation. I only needed instructions.
Yeah.
Some of the instructions I was following were effective, but not as effective. So I think it's important to network, and even network out of Dallas, out of the city, and go to different markets and figure out what people are doing there. Because once you get in that network, it's like, okay, like, hey, you're on a certain level, like how, like you're doing now, is just getting podcasts and trying to figure out what people are doing in different markets. And sometimes they can tell you like more genius secrets from different markets, because they know that you're not going to be in their market. You know what I mean? So I think that's helped. But, it's like, I didn't really have that many struggles that I felt were struggles just because, Brandon, I come from nothing. Like, I grew up poor. So it's like, even the worst struggles that I had, like, I mean, I remember losing $30,000 on a rehab. I mean, my buddy partnered on, and I did that as like a blessing. It's like, man, I lost $30,000, and it's like, okay, let's go on to the next one. You know, it was a downside, but it was very stressful. But at the same time, it's still a blessing to be able to learn those type of things without having to like go under completely. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's been like, hey, everything happens when it's supposed to happen. Things don't happen when you want them to happen. Things happen when they're supposed to happen. So,
Right.
I mean, obviously some of the struggles is just gaining traction, trying to figure certain things out and grow. But I mean, hitting plateaus were difficult at times. Like, man, I've made the same amount of income for like 4 months, and how can I grow this to another step? And it comes with the point of putting somebody else into your place and duplicating yourself in that process. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, I guess the biggest struggle for me for a long time in real estate is just the proper way to put somebody else on to duplicate yourself without them going somewhere else in a month.
Yeah.
And I think it's helped a lot now with the business structure that I have, because it's working. And there's equal amount of value, if not more value from my side. So,
yeah. So you said, well, the networking thing and then learning how to replace yourself. Was that through like networking, or did you read books like the 4-Hour Work Week and Traction? Because you say Traction a lot, so it makes me think you've read the book Traction.
I did. I have it somewhere over here. I read that book. It helped a lot. But I think I was just, I've had two businesses for a long time, up until a few weeks ago, actually. But I kind of like let off the pedal a lot with my other business. And all of a sudden, all that energy that I had spaced out between two companies was just focused just on real estate. And that has helped dramatically. But yeah, it's being able to duplicate yourself in a sense of like, how can I give somebody a position where they have a certain amount of tasks to do all day, and they make excellent income, and being able to support their families and grow. And it's just helped a lot to have that type of system. And I mean, obviously got to do marketing and stuff too, but
Yeah. Well, you made a good point. Whereas I think in any industry where there's a lot of competition between companies, but real estate specifically, is a lot of people are closed-minded on the sharing, and their mindset is that of not of abundance. There's a scarcity of properties for some reason. And if you actually do the research, there's literally probably close to 1,000 houses being sold to investors every month in Dallas. And so I've noticed that a lot, especially when I'm learning. So I don't know if you've been on my Facebook a lot, but I ended up having to travel a lot this year. And it was almost always to pretty cool, fun locations, but it was always with 15 to 100 other investors.
Yeah.
And so that's what I had to do to go learn a lot of the things. Is I had to leave town to go learn from other people that were doing the same thing or 10 times of what I'm doing.
Yep.
And because they're more open to sharing, because you're not in direct competition.
Well, I think too, a lot, it's like, I mean, sometimes you literally grow to a point where it's like, I mean, you got to go to a different market if somebody's is going to teach you how to scale. You know, it's like somebody, I don't know anybody in Dallas that can grow to a point, and so it's like, I need to be able to connect to certain people and just go to social media and try to find people that are winning and stuff like that. So, so it helps.
We should, it made me think about this book I'm reading right now called The Abundance Effect. A guy I met named Justin Morales wrote the book. He's out of Colorado, but he runs a rehab company, oil company, manufacturing company, a bunch of things. And he wrote this book called The Abundance Effect. And when you're talking about how you had to leave Dallas to go learn these things, I was just thinking we should get like all investors together, get their addresses, and just mail them this book so we can all be homies and learn from each other instead of everybody competing. But I started a meetup next.
There's a ton of people in Dallas, man, and I'm just like looking at my business, and I'll pay attention to deals, and barely ever we run across the same deal. There's so much out here, it's people shouldn't think like that.
Yeah. I mean, as with as much marketing as you do and I do, I've never ran into you or your people.
Yep.
Um, Same thing with like some of the guys that are buying 30 more houses a month. I've never ran into a lot of people. I've ran into somebody I've known maybe a handful of times in the past year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only ever been on those well-known marketing avenues like probates and foreclosures.
Yeah.
And then oftentimes they beat me out because my offers are pretty low. But nonetheless, the point is we hardly ever run into people we know, almost always.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things. Like a lot of people reach out to me and ask me, what should I start doing? I'm like, go to the freaking Propelio list and start marketing to foreclosures and probates. They're like, well, doesn't everybody do that? I'm like, a lot of people do it, but to our point here is I'll never see you at these houses, hardly ever. And if you get the contract, great. There's another 600 houses I got to market to that month. So
Yeah. Well, I always looked at it. It's like, I mean, if you told somebody everything, like I used to have this roommate that actually like took advantage of me, right? And I had this little black book with like all these notes and all these plans of everything. He actually stole that black book thinking he had like the value of everything, and
right.
like in a lot worse place than he is when he was like with my roommate. So it's like
Yeah.
people can have all the information in the world, but when it comes down to it, do they have business sense? Are they able to work with other people? Are they able to learn new information?
Yeah.
And do they have work ethic? There's a lot of things that go along with success that people think it's just information. It's not. There's a lot of other things. Like even if you didn't have information, if you have a lot of other values like work ethic and people skills and stuff like that, you can win. It's not
Yeah.
just off information. So that's my viewpoint on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, like you said in the beginning, the rehabbing is easy. And
Yeah.
that's how I feel it is. And then I start to look back, well, why do I think it's easy? Because all the things everybody else has problems with, I have problems with.
Yep.
Like my first house, I went through 4 plumbers. I lost probably a few grand on some drywall guy that never showed up a couple of times and then ultimately just bailed with like 3 grand. And I have all these problems of bad work, bad contractors not getting paid, all these things, bad GCs not paying their contractors. I've done all of it. And I'm like, well, why have I made it to this point, whereas other people would have failed? And I think it goes down to, I have a hashtag HDTV said it was easy.
Yeah.
And the each individual problem can be detrimental to somebody that can't handle just the small stresses. And anyways, my point is it's going to happen.
Yep.
You're going to lose money. You're going to have a bad contractor. You just got to go with the punches and just make it happen.
You learn from everything. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, somebody rips you off, you can read people now. It's
Yeah.
I feel that energy before it even happens, and I can avoid it.
Yep.
So it's huge to make mistakes, because that's where the valuable lessons are learned. It's like I made tons of mistakes, and now I have like this confident attitude to just go and attack everything and prepare for mistakes to happen so I can learn.
Yep.
And I'm excited to make mistakes. I'm excited to fall on my face, flat on my face, so I can know how to run better next time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I haven't done many rehabs yet, but every single house, there's a new problem.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, this is cool. I get to learn something new on this house. Yeah. Like the first one, I didn't realize people put piers on the interior of a house on a slab foundation. So when we started putting holes and making the house look like a piece of cheese, I was like, holy crap, this is awesome.
Yep.
Whereas some people were like, man, the house is going to encave on itself. And it's pretty cool. I mean, I run into something new on every single house. And I think it's just your viewpoint on what's an actual problem and
Right.
just overcoming it.
But yeah, I mean, especially doing rehabs, man, it just helps so much by knowing so much about construction, especially with like wholesale deals. It's like I know if a house has foundation issues, I know it has plumbing issues, just because I've had the mistake of not realizing that and run into it like 3 times in a row. It's like, okay, if it happens 3 times in a row, foundation problems, I have plumbing problems too. Chances are the only reason foundations move is because of water, and it's either rain or plumbing. So I factor that in too. So it's like a big lesson I've learned.
Yeah. Especially interior movement. I was walking a house the other day and the lady was telling me, it's just a little bit of foundation issues. We're in Texas. I'm like, well, ma'am, we're sinking to the middle. There's a bathroom here. You got a sewer leak 100%.
Right.
And she's like, oh yeah, good point. So yeah, it's just some of the things you learn over the years. And so when I see foundation, you start to see enough foundation issues, exactly where the problem is. Okay, this room is leaning,
Yep.
Something like that. And then you can kind of guide your seller upon, if you know enough about it, they'll trust you on why you're offering what you're offering and such. But yeah.
Yep.
Well, man, I don't want to take too much of your time here. We're at 45 minutes and I think I could talk to you forever. Which, by the way, I'm starting a meetup group. Me and Corey, this coming Wednesday is our first one. I'll invite you to it. Be cool to see you out there. But
fucking Fort Worth.
No. Where do you live?
I live in McKinney.
Oh well, yeah. So Corey lives in Frisco, but it's in Firewheel, Garland area, opposite George Bush. Yeah.
But, Corey Moody. I thought you were talking about Corey Thompson. I'm like,
yeah, Moody.
Going to Fort Worth.
Yeah. No, it's I don't go to I've never bought anything in Fort Worth. And if it's anything on that side of town, I call Yale right away. I was like, I don't even want to go look at it. Here's the number. Here's the contact. You go contract it and pay me when you get it.
Wow, man.
So, yeah.
That's all I do is Fort Worth. I do all Tarrant County.
Really?
Yeah, like 85% of my business is Tarrant County.
Really? Yeah, I market out there, but my VAs know that it's a very specific criteria there. So actually, I got to double check, but I think I turned off my Fort Worth marketing because I just simply didn't want to do the drive anymore. And we only market to Arlington only because of Yale. But yeah, I mean, I won't even bother driving out there. And so when I do get leads, I call Yale right away. It's like, hey man, you want to go look at this house for me? But
yeah.
Well, cool, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, if anybody wants to reach out to you, ask you questions, I assume Facebook's the best avenue for you?
Yeah, Facebook. I mean, I'm on Instagram a lot more. Facebook is for the older generation. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Instagram is my go-to. So add me on Instagram, TheDonovanRuffin, DONOVANRUFFIN. Obviously, the before TH.
Yeah. I'll find you on there and then I'll put it down in the show notes and everything.
Cool. Yeah, so I mean, if anybody got questions about anything, reach out to me. I try to get back to people as fast as I can. That's why I like hopping on podcasts like this. I know a lot of people have like a lot of the similar questions that you can, like Google YouTube videos and stuff on.
Yeah.
It helps because I can't respond to everybody in a timely manner. I'd hope to just because I'm busy.
Yeah.
If you have questions, just reach out.
I assume you have a big buyers list. Are you open to JV wholesale deals for newer people that can't unload a property?
Yeah. If you need to help moving a property, just reach out to me and we'll evaluate it, see if we can move it for you. I mean, obviously, we pretty much everything that we get under contract, we sell. We don't have any like dead deals unless it's like title issue. So it's selling it too. So
cool. Yeah, if they want to sell you a property as well. So okay, man. I'll link Facebook and Instagram down below, and they can get a hold of you that way. But I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, brother.
Talk to you soon.
See you, man.